Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Monster Gorilla. At the Madrid Zoo in Spain, one of the zookeepers got a little bit more than they bargained for when they had an unexpected and ugly encounter with a monstrous gorilla. The 46-year-old zookeeper was left absolutely beaten, with a pair of broken arms, a serious head injury, chest trauma, and multiple fractures. The zookeeper had been performing her daily tasks at around 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning near the gorilla enclosure. Now, keep in mind that the gorilla enclosure is protected using a special 3-door system. This system is designed so that the zookeepers doing maintenance and feeding don't ever end up face to face with the animals. But in this case, the system didn't work, though how or why is still under investigation. As a result, the unfortunate zookeeper found herself staring into the eyes of the zoo's 29-year-old male gorilla Malabo. The 440-pound gorilla was just as shocked as the zookeeper, and as a result, he lashed out. Malabo picked up the woman and shook her with his enormous strength, though keepers say it was not the full amount of strength he is capable of, which is extremely lucky for the zookeeper. It took a while for the zookeepers to get a tranquilizer dart into the gorilla, and in that time he managed to cause some pretty significant harm. Her injuries resulted in her needing intubation, and she was hospitalized in grave condition. She had been working at the zoo for 19 years and had never experienced anything like this. Staff at the zoo were surprised by this turn of events. No one understood how the security system failed. Malabo has spent his whole life in captivity and had always been okay with the zookeepers, so his lashing out was definitely out of character. But hey, maybe he was just having a bad day. Number 9. The Scavenging Bear. In the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee, a couple of hikers stumbled upon the body of a dead person near the Hazel Creek Trail. The remains of the man had clearly been there for a while and were badly decomposed. The hikers contacted the park's rangers, who went out to take care of the situation. When the rangers found the body, it was no longer alone. There was a bear feasting on the remains of the unfortunate man. When the rangers arrived and found the bear scavenging the body, they had to immediately euthanize it. The situation, while horrifying, is thankfully pretty uncommon. The identity of the person was not revealed in the reports. The incident remained under investigation as to how he died. Number 8. Conservation gone wrong. When dealing with wild animals, sometimes even the best intentions prove fatal. When an anti-poaching team in South Africa went into the wilderness to respond to reports of poaching, one of their team members was attacked and killed by a charging elephant. According to what the Victoria Falls Anti-Poaching Unit said on their Facebook page, the victim, Clever Kapandura, had been with the conservation organization since 1999. He was experienced, committed, and was killed by the very animal he was trying to protect. When the team arrived on the scene, they were hoping to bust some poachers in the act and remove them from the wildlife area. But what they found instead was an angry bull elephant observing them from some distance away, which is never a good thing. The bull charged the group, who split up in an attempt to avoid the attack, but Clever wasn't fast enough. The team members managed to then scare the animal away, but it was too late for their teammate, who died from his injuries before medical assistance arrived. The elephant rammed into Mr. Kapandura, crushing him to death. Number 7. Snakes under the floor. In Northern California, a woman phoned her local snake removal company after she saw a few rattlesnakes scurrying underneath her home. Al Wolf, the professional that responded to her call, has been removing snakes for years. After all, this is a pretty big problem in the state. What Al found, however, when he arrived at the woman's mountainside home in Santa Rosa was significantly more intense than any other house call he'd taken before. Al is the director of Sonoma County Reptile Rescue. When he showed up to take care of the few rattlesnakes, he didn't even have enough equipment for what he was about to find. The den the snakes set up under the woman's home was absolutely massive. He was there for about 4 hours collecting rattlesnake after rattlesnake. In the end, he discovered over 90 of the serpents living underneath this woman's house, preparing to hibernate for the winter. 22 adult snakes and 59 babies. Can you imagine? He had to return 2 more times to continue collecting the rattlesnakes, and he even found a dead cat and a dead possum. He did manage to take out all the snakes and relocate them, but it was quite an ordeal. This is especially true for the homeowner, who had no idea she had a rather large mass of extremely venomous snakes living right under her nose. If this were your house, do you think you'd be comfortable enough to return, or would you just burn the whole thing down? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We have lots more videos coming up. Number 6. Savage strays. In Parker County, Texas, a stray cat went on a wild and rabid rampage. The sheriff's office had to issue a public statement after the feral cat attacks, telling citizens that if they see a stray cat, absolutely do not, under any circumstances, try to feed it. The first attack occurred on December 24, 2020, when a young woman in her 20s stopped to try and pet an adult feral cat that she found on the street. When she bent over to say hello, the cat lashed out and scratched her. Merry Christmas. Just 2 days later, a 74-year-old man was attacked in his front yard by the exact same cat. In this instance, he was bitten several times and sent to the hospital. He hadn't even been trying to interact with the cat. It simply ambushed him in his own yard. The third and final attack happened to the animal control officer who was trying to get a hold of the crazy feline, though the officer wasn't injured that badly. The officer did manage to capture the cat despite it being so aggressive. After being captured, the cat tested positive for rabies. It was about as feral as it gets, literally prowling around the neighborhood, attacking people at random. Rabid animals are scary at any time, but especially when they're in the form of an unassuming street cat. The sheriff's office warned locals to steer clear of the feral cat population and to give any other wild animals their space in case of further rabies infections. Number 5. Wild lions. Near a wildlife reserve in Tanzania, a trio of young children were mauled to death by wild lions. These are some wild cats that you really do need to be afraid of. The attack took place in August of 2021, when local children ages 9 to 11 went into the nearby forest to look for a couple of lost cattle they thought wandered in there. Unfortunately for the young ones, the missing cattle had actually been stolen by the lions. When the lions saw the kids, they immediately attacked. The young ones literally had no chance against the apex predators. All but one of the children were killed, but the one that did escape is likely traumatized for life. The 3 that lost their lives were all members of the same family. You can only imagine how devastating the news was for their loved ones. According to wildlife professionals, these types of attacks are not uncommon in Tanzania. Last year alone, at least 36 lions had to be relocated after a string of attacks on the surrounding communities. The issue results from the natural interactions between the Maasai people, who have been allowed to live within the borders of the national park so that they can feed their cattle, and the wildlife that are protected in the preserve. Having livestock in a lion park obviously has its drawbacks. Sometimes the lions will steal the livestock and attack the people as well. Number 4. Swimming with gators. It was a perfectly ordinary day in Martin County, Florida for an unidentified man riding his bicycle through Halbatioki Regional Park. Unfortunately for the cyclist, his ordinary bike ride ended in a very Floridian way, with an alligator attack. According to the local papers, the cyclist lost control of his bike sometime around 11 in the morning while riding over a small wooden bridge. When he lost his balance, the cyclist rode off the edge of the bridge and fell into a small body of water about 6 feet down. Unfortunately for him, there was a hungry alligator lurking nearby. He was instantly attacked by a huge female gator trying to gobble him up for breakfast. When trapper John Davidson showed up to the scene later to take care of the bloodthirsty animal, he discovered the alligator to be over 8 feet long. The authorities didn't disclose the attack victim's name, likely for privacy reasons, but the fire rescue workers did say that he had to be airlifted to the nearest major hospital because he was suffering from traumatic injuries. We can safely assume that that's normal after an unexpected tangle with an alligator. He is expected to make a full recovery, and the alligator has since been relocated. But let this just be a reminder that in Florida, even just going for a bike ride near water can have deadly consequences. Number 3. Shark versus surfer. Eric Steinley was surfing just 150 feet away from shore at Salmon Creek Beach in Sonoma County, California, when a great white shark came out of nowhere and tried to bite his leg off. The 38-year-old surfer obviously panicked when he was dragged underwater and realized the shark had rows of teeth sunk deep into his right leg. Instinctively, he put his left hand against the shark's face and then threw a punch in desperation. The underwater punch did the trick, startling the shark enough for it to open its jaws and release the human. Luckily, there were other surfers in the area who saw the attack happening and helped Eric get to shore before the shark could recover and finish what it started. They used a strap from Eric's surfboard to quickly tie a tourniquet around his bleeding leg. then used his board as a stretcher to carry him to the pickup point on the beach, where he could be taken by helicopter to the nearest hospital. In order to save his leg, doctors had to perform 2 surgeries, but he was ultimately relieved to have survived the ordeal. Number 2. Jaguar madness. Not everybody who goes to the zoo understands the rules. For example, a woman who was attacked by a jaguar in 2019 while visiting Wildlife World Zoo in Litchfield Park, Arizona. Unlike the rest of the park visitors who simply stay behind the barricades and take photos with their phones, this woman decided that she would crawl over the barrier to get a better look. She wanted the perfect picture for her Instagram. Apparently, the jaguar isn't really a fan of social media though, and the cat attacked her. According to a statement given by the zoo, the woman sustained injuries to her arm when the female jaguar tried to rip it off. She had to be taken to the hospital, though she did make a full recovery. According to the fire department who responded to the scene, the woman was trying to take a selfie with the jaguar. While she didn't actually get inside its cage, she got close enough to the fence that the jaguar was able to grab a hold of her arm with its claws, causing some pretty serious damage. The woman was saved by witnesses at the zoo who distracted the jaguar long enough for it to let go of the foolish woman. If it hadn't been for the quick-thinking Good Samaritans, she may have been hurt worse than she was. Since this attack, the woman has returned to the zoo and made a public apology for her poor behavior. Number 1. The biggest snake. According to reports, deep in the darkness of the Amazon jungle, there was a terrifying monster that went on a killing rampage. The anaconda, the largest of all snake species currently in existence, averages about 29 feet in length and weighs around 550 pounds. But bizarre reports circulating online made claims of an even bigger anaconda that had been tracked down by wildlife specialists. There are stories that state it took nearly 40 days to hunt down and kill the snake, after it reportedly ate 257 people. It was allegedly 134 feet in length. It had been terrorizing the jungle inhabitants and feasting on just about every person it came across. But this must be a creature from legend because there is no way an anaconda can measure over 100 feet long. Even the prehistoric titanoboa was around 50 feet long. All the reports you've been hearing of a snake over 100 feet long are incorrect. According to Snopes, most of the photographs associated with the giant snake actually come from around 2010, when they first started appearing on the internet. The images are actually of a completely normal-sized snake strategically placed on a children's toy model truck. Whoever took the picture really got an unbelievable angle. Truthfully, anacondas aren't really that dangerous to people. The biggest ones can in theory eat an entire person without an issue, but cases of this happening are extremely rare. They definitely don't go on killing sprees and murder hundreds of people. Plus, no snake that has ever existed in the history of the earth has been as large as the one described in the fictional reports. Perhaps it was the mythological Yakumama that has come to life. Thanks for watching! What's the scariest encounter you've ever had with an animal? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!